Bada bing, bada boom. We're here. We're Roll for Mischief. Your favorite nerds. We are minus a nerd, so I'm doing the Kyle thing today. I hope I do all right. Yeah, we are here with Voloheen, dungeon mastered by Carrie, and then I'll be me, and everyone else will be themselves. So, do we have any announcements that we would like to make? I know, given the state of the world right now, we didn't stream last week. We felt like it would be inappropriate to do so, and so yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. I think.
Carrie, do you want to say something? Do you want me to say
You
something?
can start. You go for it, Alex.
Okay. I just for a second, speaking for myself at least, I know that the what we're playing is a fantasy game, but we at the moment are doing some things that feel like they might have a parallel to what's going on right now. But what I want to kind of emphasize is that we know that this is fantasy, it's not reality. And even though I think in general we try to tell a story that has like complications and shades of gray in it instead of a simple black and white story, at the end of the day, it is still a simpler story. And for me, at least, being able to be in a fantasy world where my actions have um, more of an impact than it feels like they could ever have in the real world, because we have power, because we have magic, because the story is designed for us to be able to have an impact. At the end of the day, when the 3 hours are over, there's still the reality waiting for us. Um, and there's still injustice in the world. And a lot of times it feels like there's nothing that we can do. But what I'm trying to teach myself is that even the small things that, or the things that feel like they don't have, like they're just drops in a bucket, like for Americans, calling or writing to our local governing bodies, our congressmen, or donating money to causes that we know are having an actual impact, or even just taking the time to learn and pay attention and educate ourselves. Those all matter. They don't feel like fighting evil in the sense that playing D&D feels like, that is a satisfying level of fighting evil. But I just want to encourage everyone to fight evil in fantasy and in reality. And I think that like the links that we have below are a good place to start. That's my soapbox.
Um, yeah, I guess I'll just like bounce off the back of that. Yeah. So this, I'm going to kind of use this as a chance to give a little bit of, I guess, a trigger warning. It's still kind of classed as a trigger warning. That, it was perhaps like an odd time for us to branch into this particular plot idea. Maybe, there are definite themes of racism and slavery coming up in this specific session and the episode as a whole. However, this session will be quite intense with it. So if it's something that you're not, comfortable with kind of listening to at the minute or being involved with at the minute, like obviously that's absolutely fine. Like this will be up on YouTube, so if you get to a point where you feel like you are comfortable, like you can go back and catch up, or just don't watch. It's always better to kind of do what's best for you and your mental health, really. I also want to say that although it is sort of themes of racism and slavery, it's not purposely trying to reflect real life. It's not based on anything that's going on in the real world or that has gone on in the real world. There may be some aspects that might seem similar, but it's not like, I'm not really like a history buff. Like I don't know if I've not specifically based this on an event. Like we're not trying to reflect what's happening now or what we think should happen about it now. May also be things come up like self-harm is still a sort of prevalent trigger in this particular episode since we're focusing on Leah, and yeah, it's just going to be a bit intense. That's all. That's all I want to say. A second slightly off topic point, unless someone wants to add into that overall topic, is that we are missing a Kyle today. So we're also going to be missing an Agner, and it also means we're missing our regular tech person. So today I am doing the tech for this, so if it goes badly or I make a mistake, I apologize. I'm not great at this stuff. So just bear with us, please, for any like technical things. Other than that, like, I think that's all I have to say. Anyone else have anything?
Just I know the world is a chaotic and kind of a scary place at the moment. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Um, if you are not in the United States and don't have an idea of what's going on, please look into it, research it. We have some links below about what people can do to just raise awareness for themselves and for the people around them. And if you are in the United States and you aren't plugged in and you aren't really paying attention, please do, and please register to vote. That is a very important thing. There are things you can do, um, and voting is one of the big ones right now. So thank you all for being here, and that's it for me.
All right, shall we hit our intro video? Let's go. And we're back, hopefully. No,
All right.
I don't think we're back. Okay. So, Asa, do you want to be Kyle?
Oh, right. Well, what do we? What? Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. So I forgot what we did. I'm rusty apparently. Uh, yeah. So, do we want to start with a recap, or do we want to go right into some group therapy? What do you guys think? I'm all about democracy.
What do we do?
Topical,
Recap and
topical.
then slight recap and then
Okay.
group therapy,
Yeah.
I think.
I believe that's what happened. So, slight recap. So we met up with Soter, and we had gone through the hells and had found the camp of Tiefling liberated from their oppression, and had agreed to follow Soter to attempt to help liberate more. More importantly, we had traveled to the Azamar home kingdom, Celestia, Ethereum. I forget the names all the time.
Elysium?
Is that right? Elysium? Yeah.
Elysium?
I've got it written down.
I am the most terrible with names. So we went there, that place, and had come up with this plan to get in, to meet this noble family that I don't remember the whys of that.
Maybe
So,
like Carrie recap.
Doing the most wonderful recap in the world.
So, do you want me to take over?
You see,
Asa?
I'm going to keep on going
Okay.
through this
Either.
because you're laughing. No, yes, please take over. I am awful. I can tell you what Eridu did. I knew that. I know that.
Okay. So you didn't actually go to the capital. I'm just gonna go over the recap and fix
Oh,
the
right.
thing.
Okay. We didn't.
So
Fine.
the group haven't gone to like the capital. They've gone to a ASMR town. It's not really big enough to be a city quite. And they've been told that there is a girl there who has information that can help. Information on the girl that Soter is looking for, who the group saw in hell in their vision things. They made their way to this town. I'm probably going to keep calling it a city. I'm just going to call it a city. And this is a place that none of them have been to before. So even Soter hasn't been to this place before. It's called Airston. I don't know if you hung around to get the name, but there you go. And the party decided to come up with a plan to have Soter pose as a prisoner slave that they were going to sell to a noble house within the city. And they used this excuse to get past the guards and into the city itself. However, on that approach, Soter created a random fog cloud in the middle of the bridge, and Eridu managed to sneak his way through and into the city. Agner is currently on a horse, pretending to be an ASMR, an old man ASMR, with Leah as his aide. They made their way through the first set of guards fairly easily. They managed to get into the city, and as they entered and started walking down the streets, they realised it's very quiet here. Very, very quiet for a city. Yeah, and that's why we left off. So group therapies from there, I guess.
I'll go first.
Well, I know. Okay.
Go on. No, you could go if you want.
No.
But,
I was gonna recap what Eridu did and then try to figure out his emotions. But if you got something, go for it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Leodin is full of emotions. She's usually full of emotions, and right now she's still reeling from some things that were revealed to her by none other than Shar. She has mostly gotten over the fact that Soter outright lied to her right at the beginning, at their very first introduction, because now's the time to focus on something that looks like it might actually have a good impact in the world. But definitely in the back of her head is a whole bunch of stuff trying to parse out what Shar meant when she said that Leah had a patron, for example. That's all new information. And Leah always has a little bit of trouble trying to like separate out all the things going on in her head at any given moment. But occasionally she has the capability of being able to shove stuff out of the way. Sometimes bury things very, very deeply. But in this case, she's trying to set all of that aside for the moment so that she can be 100% focused on this massive deception that she is also not super great at deception. So she doesn't even have, I don't even have a fake name for her at the moment. I don't think one was actually given to her last week. I tried to check and I didn't see that there was one. But so, all of that is fun and great. And, basically her entire thing right now is don't fuck it up. That's it.
Fair enough. I think that's a great way to look at it. So, Soter is feeling a little bit weird. He didn't think the fog cloud through as best as he possibly could, especially when, guards specifically asked if we knew why this fog cloud was popping out of nowhere. But, but what's really what's really getting him at the moment is having tasted the freedom that he once had, even just putting on a fake role of slavery is ridiculously painful for him. Um, and he's doing his best. And although, he knows that it's quite quiet, in a way, he's happy because there's less people to see him in such a degraded state. Um, and just especially the looks from the guards when we crossed the bridge, quite, looking at him down in derision. It's the only thing that's really keeping him going is knowing that he will hopefully come out of the city again with two tieflings. If it wasn't for that, he would not be where he is at all. Whether that would be by his own volition or whether it just wasn't anything else. There's a dichotomy of him where half is ridiculously sad, vulnerable, and then there's the other side, which is we're going to get these tieflings out and we're going to go back to freedom. So who knows? He seems to be the wild card. He may continue to be so.
I'm still sorting through Eridu's emotions. He's kind of being all shadowy at the moment, which has got to put him closer to Tix. I would think that there's no way around that. So I think Eridu exists in this mental space where things are just sort of separated by these thinly walled cubicles. And every once in a while, the whole room shakes and one of them falls over. And then Tix comes filtering through. So when he is, doing the shadowy thing or doing anything that's power that's kind of gifted by Tix, uh, that's when that room is shaking and when bits of things are coming into different sections that they're not supposed to be in. So it's taken all of his concentration to put those walls back up. Uh, and that I think that's taking that's going on inside of his head while he is just attempting to do his best to keep himself close enough to the party as they travel through the streets.
All right.
That's all I got.
Awesome.
Scary.
Then we should pick up where we left off. So the group enter into the sort of suburb area of this city. So like this looks like mostly residential area. The first thing that they notice is how like the city looks wealthy. Like every wall, like all of the floors are like white marble, and everything is sort of lined with gold. You've not got close enough to see if it's like pure gold or if it's just like painted or like but the sun shines off every surface kind of level. Once you get past the guards on the gates and you start making your way through the streets, you've noticed that it is empty and quiet. What would you like to do?
Do we know what direction we need to be going? Like do we know where the noble house is that we're supposed to be going to? Is that not information that we got from the people at the place?
So I believe we know which royal noble house we're going to, as in the name of the house, but we don't know where in the city it is yet.
Okay.
I will be right back.
I think that is right, isn't it,
Yeah.
DM? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like,
Sorry, I
you
just
would...
wanted to mention.
That's okay. So you would probably have like, you particularly sort of have been to like a lot of ASMR settlements, towns, cities of various sizes, and they're laid out not too dissimilarly to other ones. You would anticipate those kind of places are probably going to be like pretty central, as they're usually deemed as more important than everybody else. So they're probably in a more sort of central area. But other than that, yeah, you've not got a map, you've not got like street names, you've not got anything like that.
Well, so then our options are kind of basically to either just kind of stumble forward, or for me, presumably, to run back to the guards and say, I'm sorry, my master is blind and I've never been to this city before. Can you point us in the right direction? But that might invite more questions like, why don't you have a map or an address or anything like that? So I don't know, stumbling forward blindly, I guess.
So, what Soter would like to do is kind of move forward, because up until now, obviously, Eigner's been on the horse, kind of, and with Soter kind of being tugged behind. So I want to sort of inconspicuously move forward and almost lead Eigner. And I want to sort of lead in the direction of the center of town, knowing what I do about noble houses and things like that. And then I would like to cast Minor Illusion just to whisper to Leah and Eigner, we're heading as close to the center as possible. That's where the noble houses will be, but we don't know which house it is. I can't really do anything. This part is up to you. And start forging my way as best I can to where the sort of center of town is. Seeing as it's quite quiet, it's hard to tell where sort of the main hustle and bustle of people would be coming from.
Okay.
And Eridu is, in the shadows of a building, invisible as he can do in the shadows, and I am a little disturbed by the lack of anything, and I would like to make a perception check to just sort of see if I can find any signs of regular life within the area. People murmuring inside their windows, whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, do me a perception check.
All right. I already rolled it, and I rolled a 20.
Well.
So it's like 28.
Okay. So, kind of skirting along the edges of the streets and listening into people's like windows, at doors, trying to kind of glance down streets as you pass them. You don't hear anything behind any of the doors or windows. It just seems like dead silence. On a couple of like crossroads on the streets, you catch sight of a couple of guards walking together in pairs. You just see sort of the backs of them turning corners and walking down another street. They don't seem to be like in a rush. They don't seem to be kind of like they're obviously like, patrolling, but they don't look like they're super like on edge or anything like that.
But I'm only seeing guards. I'm not seeing like townsfolk walking around.
Nope.
And are the buildings I'm around, do they look like houses? What kind of buildings are surrounding us?
Yeah, they look like they are houses. the general sort of shape of them, you can kind of tell that they would be like 1 or 2 bedrooms, a living room inside there.
Are there any like open windows or anything, or like all the shutters kind of closed up too?
Um, they're not closed up. You would be able to. You can find a window that you can. Are you trying to look through or climb into?
Yeah, I want to like peek inside of a house.
Okay. Yeah. So you can find a window that you can look through. Do an investigation check for me. Looking through the window.
All right. Investigation is a +2. 20
Okay.
in total.
So as you sort of press your face up to the window, you as you kind of move to the window, it looks like you can see through the window and you can see like the inside of like a living area. So like some seating and like a little stove and things. But as you press your face to the glass and sort of put your hands around your eyes, so you're blocking out like, you know, the reflections and the light from the other side. As you look inside, this looks derelict. There isn't a chair in there. There isn't a stove in there. There's rubble. There's broken bits of wood. It looks covered in dust. As you pull your face
How
back
far
in,
away?
it goes back to what you saw.
And how far away is the party from where I'm at currently?
I mean, I wouldn't say they're that far ahead. I in my head it's a pretty like casual-ish walk, so they're not like running through the streets. So, I don't know, 60, 90 feet, depending.
And
on
I've
how
been
long you
able
take.
to like, and I've been able to keep my distance in the shadows to kind of be close-ish.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I have any way of communicating outside of, being right next to them. I don't think so though. Yeah, I'm just gonna move as best I can at this point, staying within the shadows so I can keep my visibility up, and to get as close to them as I can, which will probably be, 2 whole move actions before I get there.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. Unless they're doing anything like other than just walking through the streets and it's like
My
provoke a guard or
hands are
something.
both.
We're not like
metaphorically-
breaking into a run.
Then yeah, you can kind of like get to the point where you're sort of moving alongside them, but in the shadows of the
Yeah.
houses.
Who am I moving alongside the closest of?
Well, I think both Agner and Leah are on horseback, so
Okay.
Soter's taken a bit of the lead, so it'll probably be Agner and Leah, but they are up on horseback.
Well, if Soder's taking the lead, if I could be, kind of strolling alongside of him, that would be great.
Yeah, you can catch up to it.
Soter, this whole place seems to be empty, and not just recently emptied, but possibly abandoned. And I'm wondering if the guards here are for show or something, but this is very strange. These are all residential houses. We should see people moving along, living their lives, but there's nothing going on here at all.
Soter keeps his head sort of bowed down to the ground, looking all uncomfortable. But I don't understand. The intel said that that the Tiefling was here. Didn't the guards at the gate say that they had an issue with a breakout?
I believe so. Is it possible that the intel is wrong? My concern is that we might be walking into a trap.
But I don't understand. Who would want to trap us? I mean, it's I'm breaking out some tieflings, but I don't think that's bad enough to have an entire city set as a trap.
I don't know. I'm afraid I don't have enough information of any of this. I'd hoped maybe you had, but if we
No,
just keep on our guard for now.
I think that's the best that we could do. Um, uh, I don't know. Now that you say it, it is kind of weird that there's no one here. Um, but it's too late. It's too late now. It's too late. I don't like it.
I don't either. Perhaps we should have a getaway plan before we step into the proverbial lion's den.
Oh, well, the but then if we were walking into a trap, sure, but they wouldn't have let us in the gate if they knew we were coming. Like,
Well, unless they don't know that we're the. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
well,
Perhaps Agner can get us out of here if things get really bad.
if that's the case, then you guys need to get out of here. I will be able to survive, but you guys have helped me no end, and it's not your battle. So if anything should happen, run.
Yes. Let me talk with Agner, see if I can get an escape plan in place. And we're not going to leave you here. If it comes down to it, we'll stay with you.
I appreciate the vote of confidence, but seriously, just if it means that you guys can get out, throw me under the bus. Okay? Or throw me under the wagon.
All right.
Sorry, breaking character there. throw me under the proverbial wagon. Okay? As long as you can kick over a tiefling, I'm sure they won't mind you guys leaving.
All right. I'm gonna kind of scooch back so I'm walking along with Agner and say, so we might well be walking into a trap. And I can speak loud enough for Leah to hear too.
I was actually going to ask if Leah has heard the conversation happening in front of her horse. Presumably, Agner has heard everything, so you don't even have to talk to him, really.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think Leah probably did hear that because they were quite hushed
Okay.
about it.
They were hushed.
Yeah.
This one will be a little bit louder, but yeah. If there's guards that come close to us, I won't talk at all because I don't want to know I'm there. But yeah, the gist of it is, Agner, you have your dimension door spell, I believe, and if things start to go terribly wrong, can you get us out of here?
I'm not. I don't know if I sang that.
Come on, do your best Agner voice.
No, because I'm going to insult like an entire country trying to do an American accent. Agner would tell you that his dimension door, he can only take one person through it with him. And also it's only a certain amount of feet that you can go.
Yeah, it's like 500 feet or something like that.
And it's only one person.
I'm going to whisper something into Agner. I'm going to say it so quietly that I know Agner will be the only person able to hear it.
Okay.
And essentially, it's going to say, "Get Soter out. If things go bad, get Soter out." Because I'm concerned that they will kill him.
Yeah.
Personally. Where I think the two elves can probably find their own way out of the situation.
He nods. I mean, probably feel bad agreeing for him, but he's just gonna nod quietly.
Yeah.
He says very little.
I know if Kyle were
That's
here,
fine.
he could have. And I know Kyle would have opinions too,
Yeah, no,
like
exactly.
about not leaving or whatever.
Exactly. That's why I don't want to
Yeah,
decide for him, but he's just gonna be
it's
very
okay.
quiet in this situation. He just nods.
He can keep his secrets.
He's staying in character as the old man ASMR and staying
There you
quiet
go.
and poised.
Mhm.
Does Leah see Eridu?
No, he's invisible, but you
Invisible.
can hear my voice, alongside of Agner's horse. So
Okay,
you could hear me talking about the dimension door and whatnot.
right. Um, but he didn't say the thing about about buildings being abandoned and that it might be a trap. Did he? Did he say that?
Uh, I could go into more detail happily, or I could explain more if Leah had kind of asked about more information. But
Hmm.
I mean, to speed things along, yeah, he will kind of have had that dialogue with Agner where he goes into more detail
Okay.
without
Um,
Agner having to actually say anything, because
so
trying
Leah
to
will
give as much.
quietly speak up and say, "I could just go find a guard and ask." And citing that I haven't been to this city before, my master is blind, and we weren't given to understand in advance that there would be a problem here, but we're curious as to why it's so empty. I could play that up a little bit and just
So, if I now just kind of going back to the moment where I was looking in the house, uh, did you say that like as I got close to the window, there was a lot of reflection, or it looked normal until I got right up into the window,
Yeah, it looked normal. So it looked like you could see through into like a living space.
like a normal
Yeah,
house?
right up
Yeah.
until you like fully
So,
like pressed your eyes and put your hands around your eyes and kind of shut out the light and stuff.
s- so it's effort putting into making this place look like it's inhabited from a distance. That's pretty much what I've picked up from that.
maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I mean, yeah, you definitely could ask about why the streets are so empty. That's definitely an easy observation to make and a reasonable question.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna do my first attempt at actually just BSing. Yay! So Leah will say louder to Soter, keep leading our master to the noble house. I need to go ask the guards a question. Just a little bit louder so that if people are listening, there's reasons for why everyone is doing everything that they're doing. And then peel off and you said they're patrolling the streets, so I'm just going to try and find the nearest pair.
Yeah, it doesn't take you long. There does seem to be like a fairly large guard presence here, but they do seem to be going just in pairs. So you find one just on this next street along, like it's a parallel to where the others are.
Okay.
You can approach. There is two male ASMR, in their full like guard gear, walking along side by side.
Apologies for disturbing you. Do you have a moment to answer a question for me?
Yeah, I guess so.
I do apologize. I am new to this city. My master is an Asmar, Sir Drake Wernan III. And we were planning on visiting the noble house and selling a slave to them. But we feel like we haven't been given full information. I did not expect the streets to be so empty. I have not been to this city before, granted. But I don't really understand what's happening.
He says, "All right. Well, which noble house is that you're visiting?"
I don't remember the name of it, but presumably Leah would. Did they tell us that?
You did, yeah, they did tell you. It was. If I'm going to be able to find it quickly.
I'm gonna write it down.
3. The Talrent House. Talrent.
Okay. The Talrent House.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I mean, they haven't had visitors in a while, but I guess. Sure. Well, keep going. You're going the right way. You just, once you get to the inner city, you find the wall. Go past the guards. The guards are there. I'll give you, point you the right direction. Not hard to find.
What was that last thing you said? Sorry.
Not hard to find, or before that?
Oh, okay, thanks.
I don't know.
There's a plane going on overhead.
Alright.
Thank you for your assistance. Should I be concerned about the quietness of the city? Should my master be concerned?
No. I don't see why you would be. Everything I can assure you, everything's safe. We patrol the area in shifts. There's usually at least 60 or 70 of us out in the outer cities. Inner city, a few less, but yeah, there's never really a problem in there.
This would be a really good moment to have Ellie just like read this guy's mind.
Mm-hmm.
If only.
Well, I could do an insight.
Yeah,
I
sure.
could do an insight.
Do an insight.
Well, my brand new die gave me a natural 1, so not so much.
Yeah.
Just full on believe this
Yeah,
guy.
he just looks like he's giving you
Cool.
information. Like he's just making statements, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to read him.
He's
Okay.
just a guy doing the best he can with what he has.
All right. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions I can ask without making it like more suspicious and awkward. But I guess not. So she'll thank them for their time and go back to the group.
Alright. They nod as you leave. And then you see them walk away and kind of mumble something to each other and then laugh a little bit and then keep walking.
Well, that's fun.
Oh, this would be a good opportunity for Agner to be here with his super hearing.
If only.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Doing
But
well
no.
today. Doing very well.
Yeah.
All the right people doing all the right things.
Right, exactly. We're putting the really outside of our comfort zone situation here. Okay, well, Leah will go back and quietly relate everything that she gathered and the fact that she didn't gather much, that they are pretending at least that everything is perfectly normal and fine. And she doesn't actually have that great of knowledge of Asmar cities, so for as far as she knows, maybe it is perfectly normal and fine. I guess Soter would know. Maybe.
Well, I mean, it's quite unusual for the outer cities to be this quiet. I mean, inner city equals nobility. There shouldn't be that many of them.
Right. Well, I now have directions to where we need to go. So I guess we'll just stay on our guard.
Did the guards say anything else about the noble when you told them which house we were going to?
They said it was unusual for them to be receiving visitors.
I find it hard to believe that they would say something like that if it was a planned trap. So maybe everything is okay.
Well, either way, it seems like there's something very strange going on. whether or not there's a trap planned for us. There may be wrinkles in it. But I guess we can ask for further information at the wall, they said.
I think that's the best we're going to be able to do. It's weird because usually there's other people. Well, there's people other than guards that you can talk to who seem to be a little bit more open and compliant with their information. I don't know what to think. It could be nothing. It could be everything. But all I know, there's 2 tieflings here, and we're going to get them out. So we should keep going to the wall and
try again.
Yeah.
This is not comfortable for me at all.
So Eridu is moving along, invisible in the shadows, kind of listening to Leah and Soter talk and becoming more uneasy with this emptiness. And he kind of, the walls of his cubicle room are shuddering and shaking, and he feels the presence of ticks just there. Like a person standing right behind you, but every time you turn around, there's no one there. And and he reaches out mentally and says, "So, what do you know about what's going on here?"
You put me in another tick spot.
You're doing that.
I do, yeah. I'm doing it again. So Eridu's big plot point. I'm gonna lean on it sometimes.
Yeah, I need to sit down and actually It's because I haven't acclimatized with Tix's plan currently. I don't think he would know. He wouldn't know what's going on. So I think you just get a scoff back, as if you're having to ask me for opinions on this. I think that's
It would only make sense that you would have no real perspective. You are, after all, trapped inside me. Fine then. Keep your secrets.
You don't get anything back.
Can Leah assume that Eridu is still around the grouping of them?
You presume it. He's probably not gone off on his own. He knew what you were doing, so.
So she'll just kind of whisper to the air, Eridu, do you think you can perhaps scout ahead and report back? Would that be valuable?
I'll give it a shot, yeah. And yeah, I'll start to move ahead.
You with your perception. Mm-hmm. Although my perception isn't terrible, I just can't run around and look at stuff.
On horseback. Trying
on horseback. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of being invisible in the shadows, so yeah. I'll I don't have a good way of letting people know when I'm actually gone. So yeah, I'll go ahead and just move further ahead. My speed's probably faster than the horses if they're not actually in gallop. Yeah, so I'll move ahead, keeping to the shadows. My stealth check is an 18.
Okay.
I don't know if I have advantage with. Well, I can just use pass without a trace and get advantage. So I'm gonna do that.
You already have that on, don't you?
Oh, I do. You're right.
So,
because I think Agner did that. So, yeah. All right, it's a 28 with pass without a trace.
Okay. That's fine. No one's
and just I guess another perception check.
Yeah, sure. You can do a perception check as you go.
So that I'm giving you something different to work with. We're headed towards the center of town. That was where Soter said the noble houses were at, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And now,
so I'm gonna
inner city, and then where the house is.
Yeah, I'm gonna move in that direction and keep an eye out for anything that might indicate a potential trap. But specifically going for the center of town where we're headed.
Okay.
That's not a good roll. That is a 13.
Okay. So nothing really changes around you. All of the houses seem pretty much the same. They're still, even like the further and further in you get, it's still quiet. It's still like nothing moving behind the windows. Um, it doesn't take you long, however, to start seeing the tip of this wall that was mentioned. Um, and as you sort of get closer to it, you can see that it's built very similarly to the wall that was on the outside of the city as a whole. Um, so it's white marble again, and sort of edged with this gold pattern. It is a bit more decorative than the one outside. Um, and you also notice that there are like golden pyramid triangle type shapes all along the top of it. Um, and it's kind of hard to tell from here, but they look sharp. They don't look like they're necessarily just for decoration, but they do look decorative. And then you can see there is another entryway a little bit further down from where you are. So where you come to it, you're at the wall, and then you can see down to the right, a couple of streets over, there's like a gate entrance to get through the wall, and you can see that there are two guards on duty outside of that gate.
All right. I want to touch the wall because I had already recognized there was something kind of illusionary-ish about the window.
Mm-hmm.
I want to like actually touch the wall and then get my face close to it and see if anything about it changes
Okay.
or if it feels different than it should, given what it's made out of.
Okay. So putting your hand against it first, it feels cold, like you expect marble to feel. Um, and you kind of bring your face close to the point where like you've got your nose pressed against this stone. And it's still white. It still seems to be white marble. It doesn't really change as you get close to it. You do, however, feel it's a little bit like bumpier, and there are maybe a couple of cracks that like in the wall that you can't see, but you can feel them with your fingertips as you sort of brush them along the wall. But it's not like it doesn't change to like a chain link fence or anything. It's still like a
Right.
stone wall.
It's just like maybe the image of the wall is much nicer than it should be. Maybe the wall should actually look a little more weathered and worn than it is,
Yeah, possibly.
based on what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to edge as close to the guards as I could get. Um, I mean, well, I want to get maybe like within about 15 feet of them.
Okay. On your same, do it on your same stealth roll, cause
Okay, the 28.
yeah. Unless you want to
All
try
right.
it higher. I mean.
No, I rolled an 18, so I'm not gonna try for any higher than that. Are they talking? Are they doing anything? First things first. Do they seem like actual people? Like, are they itching and like sneezing and doing things that normal living things would do?
Yes, they do. That you can see them kind of like moving from one foot to the other, like as if one of their legs is, getting tired. You see one of them like scratching at himself. Occasionally they'll say something to each other, but it'll all be like small talk. Like they're not hatching plans or anything. It's just sort of like how's your kid doing or something. And they seem to just be watching the streets. They don't seem overly like active or ready to like pounce on someone. They look like they've been there for a little while.
And they seem reasonably armed and armored.
Yeah.
To fit the decor.
Yeah.
Is the rest of the group coming along the street? How far away?
You can see them now. They're not too far behind, so now everybody else would be able to see this wall a lot clearer.
And can I see beyond the gate, or is the gate like closed?
The gate's closed, and from where you are, it's kind of you're like side onto it, so you can't even really see like the actual gate itself. You can just see the whole of where
Mm.
it would be.
Yeah, because I'm kind of pressed along the wall.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, how high is the wall?
I'm not very good with heights.
I
How high
mean,
is a
10
normal
feet,
wall?
15 feet,
It's like
probably 10.
it's not easily. You wouldn't think it would be easily scalable.
Okay, that's the big question.
Yeah. Like you could probably do it, but like for like,
Well, I could just
average-
walk up it as a monk.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but like the average
My-
person would struggle to get up that.
My main thing is like, so if I'm going ahead and advocating for the most challenging aspect for me, it's very likely that the shadows either end at the very top of the wall, which means that part of me would become revealed if I tried to look over it,
Mm-hmm.
or like they end about a foot or two lower than the top of the wall. So I'm trying to just like I would discern whether or not it'd be beneficial for me to go up and peek over, but actually, yeah, I think it would be. I think I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
Just gonna monk walk right up the wall and just hold on to the top. So if you want me to make some kind of check,
So yeah, the shadows do end like the most of the shadows that are cast on this wall seem to be from the houses rather than like the wall itself. So
and the sun would be coming from behind me then, so
Yeah.
I'm not getting that wall shadow.
yeah. So I don't know if that accounts into does that like do you lose your
Oh, the moment I
invisibility?
go into bright light, I lose invisibility.
Okay. So and then to climb up things like that, you don't need to do a check as a monk, do you? So it would just be just stealth.
I don't know. I just move up.
Yeah. So then just stealth and then perception when and if you get up there.
We are
Okay. Well,
at a point, so the guards can see us, right?
You're not like on the street in opposite them. You're like they're a couple of streets over, so
Oh, okay.
you're not directly in front of them.
Can't distract him. Oh well.
Well, I mean you could run.
I rolled a 19, so I got 29 in total. So I don't think I'll need a distraction.
They don't seem to notice. You kind of like as you pass out of the shadows, you kind of stop briefly and kind of glance over to them, but they don't seem to be like looking in your direction.
All right. And once I get to the top of the wall, and, like perch myself there somehow, I'm gonna just look into the inner city and see what I see.
Okay. So now up close, you do realize that these sort of triangle shapes are like razor sharp. So like, and they're across the whole wall. So like, there isn't even a gap between them. It's like they come down like that. So if you're gonna like hold on to
Oh,
them,
so
you're
I'm gonna
have to-
I'm pretty much gonna be like moving up and then dropping down again because I'm not gonna be able to actually hold on to anything.
Yeah, basically, unless you just kind of like take a very fleeting. Or try and hold on to the triangles, but just keep calling them triangles. Spikes, I guess.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to just leap over the top of the wall and attempt to land on the other side.
Okay, I feel like I need to work out how tall these walls would be then. What's like a normal sort of city wall height? What would that be?
I mean, probably if it's an inside of the city, it's probably no more than 10 feet. I
How
mean,
tall is 10
maybe
feet?
15 in a fantasy world. Like, how tall are you?
5'7", so 2 of me. I think it would be taller than that.
So,
It would be taller.
okay.
In my head,
So, like-
these are like they're grand walls, like they're big. You know.
Oh, okay. Well, it probably isn't more than 50 feet.
Let's say like 30. Let's say 30.
30? Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of check do I need to make coming down?
I don't know monks. Like, what do you have? What's the deal with monks and falling and dropping and running?
I have feather fall, so I'll take half the fall damage just from falling, but like I'll be able to run up and then just kind of drop down.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna have to somehow. There's going to be no way for me to run up the wall and then run over the spikes and then run down the wall. Which normally, if it was a normal wall, I could just run up and down it. But the spikes are going to be the thing I have to like jump over and then land. So I will be dealing with falling 30 feet for sure.
So like an acrobatics, I guess, to be jumping over the.
Okay, I'm rolling really well today. That's a 29.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You still take. It's a D6 per 10 feet, isn't it?
That's a D10 per 10 feet, so it's 3D10.
D10 or a D6?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold
Pretty sure
on.
it's D10 for falling damage.
I mean, it's your fall, so you can take
Right.
D10 if you want. I was gonna give you less, but sure. Okay. D10 then.
I always advocate. Oh, you know what? If I can reduce the damage by 80, so I won't take anything because the most you could roll is 30.
I won't bother rolling. Okay. Yeah, so and you manage to land on your feet with that, even though it's like a long drop, you manage to land on your feet. You're back in shadows now, so you can see that the walls are casting shadow into the inner city.
Okay.
So whether that, I don't know if you automatically go invisible or not. But...
Yeah, I have to use an action,
Alright.
but yeah, when I have an action, I'll become invisible.
Okay. So you drop cat-like, and have a look around from where you are. The view that you got, sort of like as you leapt over and fell, even though it was quite a quick moment. You can now see people here. The streets, they're not like rammed. There's not loads of people like hustling and bustling. But you can see like the odd person or couple kind of strolling down the street together. You can see big areas of like gardens, so like big grassy areas, or there's like trees and flowers and lots of benches. You can see that there are streets set out that look to be almost like shopping districts, and everything is just as like clean and pretty and white and gold as on the other side. You can see that the shadow kind of stretches in, but after that, the sun is hitting it and it shines in the sunlight. You can see as well some of the bigger houses, like past the shopping districts, that you could presume were probably noble houses. Or like, you can also see like temples and just the general stuff that you'd expect in a city.
And you said there are actually people here moving around and a
Yeah.
little more hustle bustle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm just gonna take that in and then just edge my way along the wall towards the gate, and wait for the rest of the party to come through.
Okay. So, going back to the rest of the party then. So you have made your way down this street and going like straight down, taking the odd turn. You come face to face with this wall. You can see down to the right, a couple of streets over, these two guards stood at what looks like the entrance to the inner city. What would you like to do?
Well, we can't climb over the wall. Eridu hasn't run back to report, like I asked him to. So who knows what that means? I am extremely uncomfortable being the decision maker here, but I would say just approach the guards.
I was about to say. I'm just gonna keep walking.
Yeah, at some point I would probably say I would say that Soter should like back off and go behind the horses as we get closer.
Okay, we'll say Eigner did one of his little sharp tugs on my rope, as to play the part, which he obviously likes so much.
He seems to enjoy it. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
a little disturbing. a little disturbing. Yeah, so yes, that's my best guess is just approach them straight on and be like, hey, let us in.
How's it going?
Not exactly like that.
Yeah, so as you approach, they turn to look at you. They do straighten up now. Cause they're not expecting to see you. Like they look a little bit surprised. Right. And they, first of all, their eyes fall on Soter, and they frown a little bit, and then they look up and see the ASMR on the horse. kind of give each other a little bit of a sideways look, but then wait for you to get up in front of them and say something.
Okay, so then I'll ride slightly ahead and say, greetings, my master, Sir Drake Wernan the Third.
I imagine Leah like looking at her hand, just writing it down on her hand every time. My master,
Listen,
Sir Drake.
she's probably better at memorizing names than Alex is. Just because I'm looking at my notes doesn't mean that she is. But yeah, so she says, we've been given to understand that we may approach the Talrant house and sell them a slave. I have been working with an intermediary, and I must confess, the situation here is not what I expected. May we have entry?
Yep. I'll need paperwork, but then I can let you through.
Do we have fake paperwork?
Do you?
We don't.
No. I'm like, I don't even think I even have like a forging kit. That's not something.
Are there
into.
other people other than Asimar in this part of the city at all?
On your side?
Yeah.
Currently you can't see any that aren't ASMR. Everyone at the minute is ASMR.
Okay.
Oh,
It was just
I
been
am
all the
so
guards and all of that.
All ASMR.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cast a spell, aren't I? Pretty sure I'm gonna have to do a sort of "these aren't the droids you're looking for" thing, and I don't want to.
I mean, I could knock them out.
That seems like more than what. That doesn't seem useful. That doesn't seem.
Yeah, probably not.
Good. Yeah. It's either going to be suggestion or charm. I can do 2 targets with charm monster.
They're not.
So I think I'm just going to have to try and charm both of them.
Does charm monster work on humanoids?
Yes, yeah. That means it's for everyone except for the undead, I think.
Oh, okay.
Just yeah, because mass suggestion is like a little much. Okay. DC is 18. I am targeting both of them.
Okay. Oh, not the cursor. Okay. What is it? Sorry, charisma save?
It's wisdom 18.
Wisdom save.
It definitely is a misleading name, Charm Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does say you may attempt to charm a creature you can see within range, though. So
Yeah. Just monster makes it, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so one of them passes, one of them fails.
Well, I'll just attempt to be charming anyway. Let's see. Okay. I really feel like this intermediary that we've been working with has been setting us up for failure. I don't actually have paperwork. My understanding was that we could simply come in, discuss things with my counterpart in the Talrant household, an assistant of some sort, and make the sale. My correspondence did not lead me to understand that I needed paperwork.
So the guard that you charmed, he kind of leans slightly on his. They have like spears. I'm just gonna say they have spears. Like on his spear, like super casually, and he looks now to be like hanging on your every word. He's just like, and then he's like, oh, wow, that sounds like a nightmare. Well, I mean, it's not really the done thing to let people in without paperwork, especially not with, well, one like that. As a child, probably could get away with it, but
Oh, you mean the tiefling?
yeah.
Oh, I assure you, he is perfectly docile.
Well, and then he looks to the guard that's behind him who passed the save, and he's just kind of looking at his friend like, what? Like he doesn't understand what's happening. And then the one that you charmed kind of leans in and goes, well, look, to get around my bosses, if I just say it like, you know, I've checked him over, patted him down, like checked his restraints, make sure that, you know, nothing's coming in that shouldn't be coming in. I mean, you could probably, they have registry offices inside, like, you just take it to one of the registry offices in there, get the paperwork done, like, it will make your life so much easier if anybody stops you, you know? Like, you know, I'll make an exception this one time.
How good are our restraints? Do we have fake ones?
Very good.
I think you did roll for it, didn't you? But I can't remember what the roll was.
These
What's
are
that?
Soter's personal restraints.
Rude.
What can I say? Only Eridu would know.
You can't even have zingers at each other right now.
They were a gift from Eridu.
Of course they were. Of course
No,
they
no,
were.
that was the fluffy handcuffs.
Yeah.
That's not the ones you're using? Oh, shoot.
No, don't use the fluffy handcuffs.
My restraints are very strong.
Oh god.
I do not want to have to try to explain that one away.
I feel like I should see myself out now.
I think we just should just
Anyway, so the guard, he kind of looks to you, waiting for your like go ahead, basically, to do this.
Yep, I'm just gonna nod and say I would much appreciate it. Anything I can do to smooth this over and move this along.
All right. And then he's going to move towards Soter. The other guard kind of comes up behind him and sort of mumbles into his ear and is like, what are you doing? And he responds, look, they're fine. Look, she's just a you know, look, it's fine. It's fine. He's in restraints. There's the old guy. He kind of whispers right next to Wagner, and then it's just an elf, right? I mean, elves, they're nothing, right? That's not a problem. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Go back to the gate.
Is the gate like a barred gate, or is it just a door? Because I'm up next to the gate on the other side now at this point.
It's like bars, so you can see through. You can see what's going on the other side.
Okay, I'm gauging the situation. I'm keeping an eye on the one who seems to like be putting up a little more resistance, because I have an idea if things go wrong.
Okay.
I do
Really
too, but I don't want to do it. So.
I do 3.
Oh dear.
Whoa. But we can't tell each other what they are.
Ah, no.
All of them at once.
Recipe
Wow,
for
okay.
disaster.
Here's what I'm going to do. While the guards are having this conversation, is it a up-down gate, or is it one that opens like a doorway?
Up, down.
Okay. There's no way to open that inconspicuously.
No.
So never mind. But
Yeah, what Leah's doing is she is paying close attention to the skeptical one. And if it seems like he is not going to be easily convinced, or if he's going to start causing a fuss, then she will cast an additional spell on him.
Okay. So he kind of
Paying
like,
attention.
with a like frown at his colleague, he kind of moves back over to the gate, passing you, Leah. I mean, you're on a horse, so it kind of has to look up at you. But
Right.
And then he just kind of like stands there and watches the other guard sort of with what he's about to do. And then he looks at you and says, what's the name of your contact? Because, you know, if they're passing on the wrong information, like, we should probably report that. It's pretty important, to be honest, that people come in with paperwork. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him, but, you know, we don't just let people bring in new ones of them without paperwork. It's risky. You got to keep tabs on them, you know.
Do we have any names from inside the household as part of our intel? We do not. Okay.
Nope.
Then if we do not, then she's going to cast suggestion on him.
Ooh.
What's that? 22.
That one is also a wisdom 18.
Okay. He fails.
So she says to him, basically, I suggest that you don't worry about it, that you let us pass in as normal, and allow your colleague to assist us. And basically, like, the gist of what she is getting at is, I think it's for like the next 24 hours. No, the next 8 hours. For the next 8 hours, you should treat this as normal and acceptable, and just assume that we are here to cause no harm.
As you sort of say this, he starts to nod, and you see him like relax again back into like his post where he was, and he just says, "Yeah, I mean, now you mention it, this kind of thing does happen. Like, this happens. This is fine. This is fine. Yeah, you know, you're not a threat." And you see him take something out of his pocket, and he like pops the top off of something, like it's like a vial, but you can't see what's in his hand. You can just see him like push the cork top off, and he like throws back whatever's in the vial and then puts it back in his pocket. And you see him just like his face kind of like scrunch up a little bit as he's kind of, you know, dealing whatever's within his mouth. Soter.
No, for a moment, as he's messing with what he's pulling out of his pocket, Leah sees Eridu appear right behind him,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
and
back-
then yeah. So I've teleported to right
Oh.
behind him. My invisibility's gone away, and like I'm ready. I'm actually reaching, about to grab his sword out of his sheath, and then after he drinks the thing and makes no makes no movement towards Leah, I just turn invisible again.
Okay.
And I attempt to act like I did not see that.
I didn't know what he was doing because I'm seeing the back of him, so I was like on guard, and I was ready to steal the sword from the guard, and then, you know,
Fair. Yeah.
I wanted to pull the whole steal the sword from him and be like, I got your sword, and then run off.
I mean, you can still do it.
It's like apparently Eridu's the crazy guy who steals a gun from a police officer. Just...
What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, so Soter, this Ismagard makes his way over to you, and he looks like he's about to touch like a sewer rat. That's the expression on his face. Like, you've seen his face before. Like, you know this isn't uncommon to you, but it's not nice. And he just kind of he gestures to you to raise your arms.
I do indeed raise my arms,
Okay.
but I'm very tense.
Okay. So he is now going to pat you down. What did we do in terms of your belongings?
I don't remember. Can we say we were smart enough to assume that he would be investigated?
I mean,
Maybe we should roll to find out how smart we were.
Roll for basic instincts.
I got the
mean,
3.
Because you didn't put the stuff anywhere, did you? You have just gone in your normal everything that you were carrying, right?
How obviously is the spear lantern a spear lantern?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going at here. I'm just like, well, it's not very obvious.
Well, and if your character has his arms bound, anything he would have been carrying is probably rolled up in,
Strapped to
on the
the
horses.
Yeah, I like that idea.
As far as like pouches and belts and anything else he's had with him, like did we think that far ahead? I don't know, but anything he specifically was carrying in his hands, he just can't be because
Yeah, I would say that we would have gotten rid of the lantern and backpack.
Okay.
We more than likely, well, Soter definitely would not have thought that far ahead to get rid of any pouches on his belt or things like that.
Okay. So, do me a. I'm gonna do it as a stealth check. I'm gonna give you disadvantage because you didn't really think about doing this ahead of time, and you are tied up, so your ability to kind of like conceal things is gonna be difficult.
Yes. What's this? A very sharp knife? No, that's not. I don't know how that got there. It's okay. I've got good dish stealth mods. Natural one.
Okay.
Plus 8 to be 9.
Nope. Crit
Sorry,
fail.
guys.
Crit fail. So you raise your arms, and first of all, he checks your restraints. He kind of like tugs on them a little bit, and seems satisfied with them. Just kind of like shrugs and nods, like checks the rope from what Agna has to the bindings, and then he moves around to like. I presume you're still wearing your coat and things. You have like a big red coat, right? In your picture anyway. And he starts to pat down, and very quickly he can feel the edges of the things that you generally carry in your pocket. Like, I'm going to presume there's like material components for spellcasting. Do you have anything like daggers or like what would you legitimately have still on your body?
Legitimately, no other weapons, but a lovely bustling coin purse, some gaming supplies, because apparently I'm a nerd in games and out of games. And I believe I also have a writing kit sort of stashed away. I've just got a quill poking out of one pocket for no discernible reason.
Okay. So he will notice all of these things. He frowns ever so slightly at the coin purse that you have. And in fact, he'll take it from you. But he will do it. I'm going to give him it as a sleight of hand. Although he doesn't do very well, so you definitely notice. How closely is Leah watching this encounter?
Yeah, now that she's not having to watch the suspicious guy anymore, she is watching what's going on. Especially if she feels like she needs to like step in and further
a perception check then.
Yeah.
I'll role play Agner here. Someone's stealing something.
It smells bad.
18.
Okay. So you watch from behind as you see his hands like going into Soter's pockets. And you do notice him sort of slip something out and seem to pocket it. And then he pulls out the material components pouch, and he turns to you, to Leah, sorry, holding it, and say, he used magic.
No, certainly not. He is carrying these items for my master. We didn't trust to just have them strapped to the horses. And my master prefers to not get his hands dirty.
Well, I understand, and I wouldn't want to criticize your methods. But let me give you a bit of advice. I would always trust a horse more with anything like magic or weapons, and I trust one of these things. Just, you never know with them. Look, I'm gonna do you a favor.
I'll take them then.
Because all right, and he hands you the pouch of magical components.
And the coins as well.
I can't. My poker face is really bad. He doesn't laugh. But you got him charmed, so give me a persuasion check with advantage with him being charmed.
Okay. It's a 27.
Okay. He kind of goes and pulls it out of his pocket, looking a little bit like awkward. Well, just common practice, I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was he was carrying your master's belongings. Yeah.
Oh well, by all means, I'm just gonna take some of Soter's money. I'm gonna take like a coin out and give it to him and say thank you for your what's the word I'm looking for? Diligence.
Oh yeah, you're most welcome. He like beams at this, like you've just given him like the best compliment he's had like in a year. And then he turns back around to Soter and still talking to you though, Leah. Well, alright. I think it's alright for him to go through. I mean, like I said, don't be giving him stuff like this to carry around because some of the other guards inside, they're not going to be as, as accommodating as I'm being for you. But
I now understand that our methods are far too unorthodox. I will take this into account.
But I will say that to be safe, I'm gonna have to ban him. I mean, to be honest, you probably should have done it. I mean, it's for your benefit too. Like, look, if he does have any of those, like, anything magical in him, it's just better to keep a lid on it, There's just nothing I can really do about it. If he walks around in there and hasn't got one on him, then, you're just going to be pulled over again, and you're just going to be held to even more to account for it. And he reaches into, he has like a saddlebag kind of thing at his side, and he pulls out a metal band, and he moves towards Soter with it.
Leah will put a hand out and say, are you saying that you're going to put something on him that cannot be removed by us?
Well, I mean, there are ways to remove them. They're not permanent. I mean, God knows. Somehow they managed to get them off in there, but, And then he, like, side-eyes Soter and is like, but it's pretty much impossible and it doesn't really ever happen. Like, I wouldn't even... And then he looks at Soter and is like, don't even try it. Like, realizing he probably shouldn't be saying that so close.
Leah is going to try and catch Soter's eye to be like, do you know, like, how to break this if I let them go through with it? Just like slight
Soter
nod.
just kind of like just very barely noticeably, hopefully, just kind of inclines his head just a little bit, hoping that his message gets across.
Okay. Then Leah will let them go through with it. She will say, I am not terribly in favor of outside influences on our property. But if I have your assurance that if we need to remove it, we can.
He frowns a little bit. Why? I thought you were selling him. Why would you need to? They're not going to buy him without it, to be honest. Why,
Very well.
Why would you even need to take it off?
If something about the sale were to go south, I just would rather have some contingencies.
He just kind of looks at you. It's like he can't really process like where even that thought would come from. But then he turns and snaps this band around Soter's neck. It's like maybe like an inch thick of like tall wise, and just like this cold, like dark grey metal band. Soter, as soon as it snaps around your neck, you can feel that any sort of sense of magic within you, you can't reach it. It's holding everything back. You even have lost connection to Bo. Like everything within you magical has been shut down, basically. And then the guard steps aside and then nods at Leah, and the other guard goes to pull up the gate for you to enter into the inner city. And I feel like that's a good place to leave it on the break for us to go into the...
What have we gotten ourselves into?
All right.
Cool.
Why take so long to walk through town? We are paranoid players.
All right, so we'll be back in like 15 minutes ish. Thanks for
Sounds good.
watching so far. Hopefully see you after the break.
All right.